Hi everyone, welcome to another Procreate tutorial. This is the drawing that we will be completing in today's video. If you are new here, I mainly post Procreate tutorials, so if that is something you are interested in, go ahead and subscribe. I also offer extra tutorials over on my Patreon. That is linked in the description below if you would like to check that out. But before we get started on the drawing today, you will need to download the color palette and the special plaid brush. So they are both totally free to download. They're linked in the description below. For the color palette, just download the file onto your iPad and then either double tap it to open it in Procreate or click on it and click open in Procreate. And it will automatically pop the color palette into Procreate so that you can use the same colors as you follow along with the video today. And then for the brush, just again, download the brush file to your iPad. You will just need to go into your brushes library, find whatever folder you want to upload it to. So maybe you have like a custom folder or a patterns folder or something. Find that folder, click the plus icon in the top right, and then click import and find the file wherever you saved it to import the brush to use later. I will also post the canvas dimensions, color profile, and layers needed on the screen and in the description below so that you can use those to set up your canvas. So take a minute to get everything ready and then come back and we'll get started. Okay, so this is our canvas, this is our color palette, and we will just go ahead and get right into it. We'll first set the background color, make the little placemat, make the plate, and then the cookies, and then add the greenery at the end. Let's start with setting our background color on our layer menu. Find our background color layer, click that to open up our color selector, and select the first color on the first row of the color palette to set it to that color. Okay, now to make our little napkin, let's go ahead and go to our layer menu again. We're on layer 1 here. Let's grab our second color on the top row, the first bright red, and drag and drop to fill in the entire canvas with that. Okay, same layer, let's grab our darker red now, the third color on the top row, and grab our plaid pattern. So let's go ahead and find that wherever you downloaded it, the large plaid. Set the size to 100 and we will just drag this all over the canvas without picking our brush up so we get a nice full pattern like so. Let's make it just a teeny bit bigger, so I'll grab my arrow tool. I will increase the size a little bit on uniform just to make it a little bit bigger, 1 or 2 times, something like that. Okay, then let's set our little placemat here. So I'm just going to grab this layer with my arrow tool. I am going to just turn it a little bit with my top right green button, and then just a little bit here so it's kind of right cutting off on this corner here. Move it down a little bit maybe. So we have like a good amount showing on our top right and a little bit showing on our bottom right. And then again, I'll zoom out quite a bit. So on uniform, I can increase this using my bottom left like corner. So I can make that a bit bigger so it goes all the way off the screen there. So this is what we should be left with. And then just click your arrow tool to turn that off. Now we'll go ahead and make our plate. So on our layer menu, add a new layer. Grab our first color on the second row of the color palette. Grab our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab, set to 100%. And we're just going to make the plate first again in the center, and then we'll move it off the screen. So let's go ahead and make a circle, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth, and then touch your finger on the screen to make it a perfect circle. Don't let it go off the edge, but make it a good size. Go ahead and fill in the middle. Grab it with your arrow tool, and we want to make sure that snapping is turned on in the bottom left. And we're going to snap it to the center of our screen so where we see our 2 yellow lines, like so. I might make it a little bit bigger, recenter it. Okay. Okay, now we're going to make the little edge to it. So on our layer menu, make a new layer. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Grab the second color on the second row of the color palette, and we're going to draw another circle just kind of around the edge here. So we just want the teeniest bit on the edge. So draw a nice circle shape, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen. Set it to just like a little size so that you can see most of it. Grab it with your arrow tool, recenter it. So on our center yellow lines, and then we want it to go off the edge. So I'm just going to make mine a little bit bigger on uniform, recenter it again until we see just the little edge sticking out all the way around. So now it looks something like this. Now we're just going to blur that edge just slightly. So under the wand icon, click Gaussian blur, and we'll drag this up just a little bit to like 3 or 4% somewhere in there. So it blurs just a smidge. Okay, so that's the start of our edge. Now we're going to make the inner part. So on our layer menu, add a new layer, click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Grab the 4th color on the 2nd row of the color palette. So skip over this 3rd one. Let's switch our brush now to the soft brush under the airbrushing category. Let's set the opacity at 100, the size to like 10, and we want to make another circle. I'm going to push really hard the whole way around. So push really hard, make a good circle, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth, touch your finger on the screen to make it a perfect circle. Set a good size so that we have a nice rim, so maybe something like this to make up like the center of our plate. Let that go when you like the way it looks, and then grab it with your arrow tool. You can resize it on uniform if you need to, but make sure to just center it primarily. Okay, and I like the blurry edge that this brush gives us on the outside, but the inside we want it to fade more gradually. So we're just going to stay on the same layer. I'm going to switch my color back to our base color, the 1st color on the 2nd row. And we are going to stay on our soft brush at 10%. And I'm just going to lightly go around here to just kind of fade it a little bit. So I'm going really lightly, but if you need to, you can lower the opacity of your brush on the left side here to like 50% or something. But yeah, we're just going to try to kind of blend these together a little better. So that's why we made it pretty big, so that we could kind of blend the edge here. So I'm just kind of trying to make it even all the way around. Till we get something like this. Okay, now we just need a little bit of a highlight in some areas. So we're going to go to our layer menu, add another new layer, drag this layer below all of our clipping masks so far. So it'll automatically set itself to a clipping mask right above our plate layer. Grab our brighter color, the 3rd one on the 2nd row, and same brush. We are just going to drop the size a little bit to maybe like 5%. And we're just going to work our way around the edges. So if you want, you can try to make a full circle and like hold it down and resize it and stuff to fit. But I'm just going to go around lightly. So I'm starting on the outside edge, going underneath that little rim that we created. Very lightly, just add a good highlight all the way around. Then we're going to do the same thing on the inside. So like on the outside of this darker circle in the middle, so that our highlight is right here. So again, I'm just going to go around very lightly all the way. Till we get back to the beginning, and now we have something like this. So I think that looks great. Go ahead and make any other adjustments that you would like to, but otherwise that is it for our plate. So now we're just going to snap all these layers together and move our plate. So let's go to our layer menu, snap them all together so they're all on one layer, our plate layer. Grab it with our arrow tool, and we are going to move it down here a little bit and then probably increase the size. So on uniform, I'm going to make it quite a bit bigger. But I just kind of want to see like a little bit of my napkin all the way around. But I'm just kind of placing it right here so we see a good amount of it still. Okay, now let's go ahead and make a shadow under our plate. So to do that, we'll go to our layer menu, make a duplicate of our plate layer. So slide to left and hit duplicate. grab the bottom one, click on it and turn on Alpha Lock. Grab our darker gray color, the 5th one on the top row. Back to our layer menu, this layer with Alpha Lock turned on, click on it and click Fill Layer. So now we have a gray circle underneath this. Click on it again and turn off Alpha Lock so that we can blur it. And then click the N on this layer and drag it up to multiply so we get a good shadow over our napkin. Click our wand icon, Gaussian blur, and let's blur this a little bit. Maybe we'll do like 10 to 15%, somewhere in there. You might not see a ton of it yet, but we're going to increase the size as well. So then with our arrow tool on uniform, let's go ahead and increase the size, kind of replace it a little bit so that we just get a nice shadow peeking out all the way around. Okay, then we're going to do a similar thing with our napkin now. So on our napkin layer, slide to left and hit duplicate, grab the bottom one, turn on Alpha Lock, grab our lighter gray color, the 4th one on the top row, back to our layer menu, fill this layer, click on it and turn off Alpha Lock, click the N and set it to multiply. Same thing, wand icon, Gaussian blur. Maybe we'll do a little less this time, like maybe 5% to 10% at the most. So I'll do like 7. And then again, arrow tool. Let's make it a little bit bigger here so that we can see just a little bit of it on the edges. So that is what we were going for that. Okay, now we're ready to go straight into drawing our cookies. So we will draw one cookie, we will decorate it, then we'll like duplicate it and move it around. So let's go ahead and draw our base cookie. So on our layer menu, add a layer to the very top. Let's go ahead and grab our first cookie color, the first color on the last row. Let's switch back to our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab, still at 100%. And we're going to turn on symmetry. So under our gear icon, under canvas, click to turn on the drawing guide, click edit drawing guide, and set it to symmetry. You should see a vertical line pop up. If you don't, you might need to select vertical under the options and then click done. Okay, let's go to our layer menu. Just make sure this layer now says assisted. If it doesn't, just click on it and turn on drawing assist so that symmetry is active on this layer. Okay, and essentially we're going to draw the ends of the star shape first and then we'll connect them. So let's start at the top here, just kind of in the middle. I'm going to draw a little circle. Hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth and then touch your finger on the screen to make it a perfect circle. Click your circle button at the top to adjust it and we'll just move it around. I just want to kind of like overlap them entirely so that we get like one circle in the middle instead of like multiple circles. So just right kind of as close as you can at the top there. Okay, then the star would go like down and over. So we'll just kind of go straight down at like a 45-degree angle here and make another circle about the same size. Hold it down, touch your finger to the screen, set the size about the same. Click the circle button at the top if you need to move it around at all. Okay, I'll set it here. Then we need to make our last circle, so it'll be kind of like right in between these two circles and down a little bit, so right about here. Make another circle, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen, and then you can kind of see the star shape forming, so like now we can click the circle button at the top and move it to kind of just be a little bit more balanced, so they should all be kind of roughly the same distance from each other. You know, do your best. We can still adjust it later, but maybe something like this. Okay, and now we just need to make our star points like come together, and we want them to be pretty shallow so that our cookie's pretty thick. So I'm going to start on this bottom circle here on the left side of it to go towards the center. I'm going to draw a line towards the center, hold it down until it turns perfectly straight. I'm going to make it again pretty shallow, so nothing too high, you know, maybe about like this. Click the line button to adjust it if you need to make it line up nicer, or just adjust the angle. Okay, now these next two I maybe want to meet like somewhere about right here. So I'm just going to make that dot there as like a guideline, and then we'll kind of connect both lines to it, kind of cover it up there. Something like this. Then these two, again, pretty shallow. Maybe we'll have them meet like right there. So again, I'll start on this other side, kind of go to that line. So it's like higher than horizontal. Okay, then this one, same thing. Okay, then let's go ahead and fill that in. Fill in all the holes as well. Okay, and then this is our star. That doesn't look too bad, but feel free to make any adjustments if you would like to. I might make this bottom one a little shallower even, so I'm just going to draw a new line, hold it down, adjust it, fill in these other parts, so you can kind of do things like that. Okay, now let's go ahead and add our texture and shadows to it. So on our layer menu, let's just click on this layer and turn on alpha lock. Grab our second color on the last row and switch to a charcoal brush for our texture. So under the charcoals category, the 6B compressed charcoals brush. Find that, let's set it to like 50%, and we'll just kind of lightly just do one good layer of this all over. With symmetry turned on, you just need to do the one side. So just a good texture like so. Okay, now we need to add a shadow around the edges and kind of make it look like more burnt there too. So on our layer menu, let's add a new layer right above this one. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Click the N and set it to multiply. Let's go ahead and turn on symmetry so we can use that again. So click on it and turn on drawing assist as well. Okay, we'll grab our next color in line, the third one on the last row, and switch to the soft brush again under the airbrushing category. Let's leave our size at like 5%. I'm just going to go around the edge with this on the right side, so just all the way around. And then it mirrors on the other side till we get to the middle here. So a nice good shadow all the way around. Might go a little bit lighter, just kind of in a little bit further. Okay. Then let's go to our next color, the fourth one on the last row. And same thing, let's just lower our size a little bit to like 3 to 4%. And we'll just go very, very, very close to the edge to even get it a little bit darker there. Okay, so then this is the base for our cookie, and now we will draw our designs on it. So now we're done with symmetry. Let's go ahead and turn off that. So under the gear icon, just turn off the drawing guide. It is still active on these two layers, but we're done with these layers. So once you're done with the shadows, that's it for that. So let's go ahead and just snap these together. So on our layer menu, snap these two layers together. That is our cookie base. Let's add a layer above it and we'll start our first design. Let's go ahead and just get started. So this is going to be the funnest part. You can do whatever kind of designs you would like to. We're just using a like whitish base and a red base to kind of mix it up. Mostly white with a little bit of red thrown in. So have some fun with it. Maybe look up some fun designs that you see online or something. But I'm going to be on my new layer at the top here. I'm going to grab my first, like the creamy color that we're going to use, the fifth one on the last row. So I'll use the fifth one and then the second color on the top row, the bright red. Those will be the two colors that we use. So I'm going to start with the fifth one on the bottom row, and we are going to use the monoline brush at 100% the entire time for everything. So if you need to do something else, go ahead and like lower the size or use a different brush, but I plan on just using this one. So the first cookie, I'm going to start with white dots all the way around the outside. So I'm just going to start kind of in the middle here and work my way around. Just tapping, trying to keep them spaced pretty evenly. So each one I'm doing like 5. So like then it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. But 5 total. So like from this end to this middle is like 5 dots. then 4 more to the next one, and then 4, well, this one will be 3 back, but 4 would have made that end. So it was like 5, 5, 5, but yeah. So then that is it for my dots. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to start kind of like right in the center here, and I'm just going to do some fun like kind of piping to branch off. So let's see, I might go like this, and then curve up again, and then curve the other way, kind of back to the middle. So I'm going to do that on each one. So then I'll turn and kind of do the same thing. So go like a little out, 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 out. And we'll cover up the middle with like a big red thing. Okay, so something kind of like that, nice and fun. So that's all I'm going to do for the white. So now I'm going to add the red. So we're just going to go to our layer menu, add a new layer, just so we can kind of like edit them differently because we'll overlap a little bit. So new layer, I'm going to start my red, second color on the top row. In the center, I'm going to make like a nice big like kind of berry to be the center of this. So I'm going to make a circle, hold it down, touch my finger to the screen, nice and big, fill that in. Okay, then to just add a little bit more red, I might just add some more little kind of dots around. Again, never changing the size. Maybe something like that. Maybe I'll try to add one kind of towards the ends. Okay, something like that just to add some more red to it. And then I think that's going to be it for the icing part. So now on each time we do the icing, we're going to do this also. So we're going to add a shadow and a highlight layer to it. So first our shadow layer. So let's add a new layer, drag it to the bottom right above our cookie layer. So underneath my first icing layer. Click the N and drag it up to multiply. And then grab the 6th color on the bottom row of the color palette, this light gray. Switch to our soft brush under the airbrushing category at like 3 to 5%, somewhere in there, pretty low. But yeah, no clipping mask or anything. We're just going to add some shadows kind of right under our icing here, just here and there. So, just kind of following the main shapes of it. I'm probably not going to do it for like every single dot, but just maybe this main piece in the center on this one. Okay, we just want to add some shadows, and you don't have to like outline the entire thing, but just add some shadows here and there. Okay, so I think just that is good. Then the highlight layer will be above both of our icing layers. So add a new layer at the top, click the N, and this time set it to overlay. Same color, same brush. Let's go ahead and see how the size looks. So we're just going to kind of add some highlights here. So maybe like a little roundness there. So that worked for the berry, my same size, but I'm going to drop my size even lower to like low 2% to do on the icing. So then just like on some of the, tips, like top parts of the icing. So like the middle areas, we'll kind of add through there, just a nice little highlight. Again, you don't have to follow everything exactly. Just kind of add it here and there to add some more dimension. And you can add it to some of the dots as well. So again, lower your size if you need to. And you don't have to do every one, but I might do some of them just to add a little highlight. Okay, so then that is our first cookie. So we'll add a shadow under it later after we place them all. But now I am going to go to my layer menu. Feel free to snap the whole cookie together after we make a duplicate of the base. So let's first make a duplicate of the base. Then if you want to snap these 5 together so that they're all on one cookie, you totally can. Otherwise, I am just going to group them together. So I'll select the bottom cookie part, leaving out my new cookie, slide right on the top, like icing and highlight layers and stuff, and then click group. So they're all in a group together. You can then minimize the group. Then we're going to turn that group off, or turn your other cookie layer off so we have our new base. Add a layer above that, and now we're going to do the same thing, new icing pattern. Okay, so I'm going to start again with my like creamy, like lighter color, the 5th one on the bottom row. Switch back to our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. And again, do anything you want, but if you want to follow what I'm doing, I am going to add a big white circle on each point. So make a circle, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen, fill it in. Same thing on each one, trying to make them similar in size. Hold it down, touch your finger to the screen, set the size. Then if you need to move it, go ahead and just click the circle button at the top and you can kind of move it if it wasn't quite placed right. Okay. If you ever want to like just move something around, like these all look great except this one is a little small and a little placed weird. I'm going to grab it with my selection tool. So with my selection tool on freehand, I'm just going to select around it, click my arrow tool, and then it selects it on its own, even though it's on the same layer, and I can kind of move it and resize it. Now I want to make another star. So I'm going to freehand it in the center here with my icing. So I'm just going to make the traditional star shape, hold it down till it all snaps, and then we can adjust it. So that obviously looks crazy, but now we can kind of make it real nice looking. You might have some kind of wonky lines, like these two. Obviously I have to meet them up together, but for the most part you should be able to get a pretty good star shape pretty easily. So maybe something like this, I might want it to be a little bit smaller. Maybe like this. Then go ahead and fill that in. Again, move it if you need to. I'm going to grab it with my selection tool and just kind of, you can like resize it, whatever you need to do. And then I'm going to place it in the center here. So just another kind of little star. Now with my brush, let's go ahead and I'm going to make 3 dots connecting each of these to the star. Something like that. So then on each star side, I'm just going to add like a little like almost 3-petal flower type thing. It's like boom, boom, boom. Okay, so now mine looks like this, and now I'm going to go back in with my red. So I'm going to add a new layer right above the one I was on, grab my red color, second on the top row. I might add a dot at each end of these, like on the outside, like so. Okay, and then on each of these, I'm going to kind of go off of it. So like starting on this one here, this bottom one, I'm going to do 2 more dots, the middle one, 1 more dot, and then this one, 2 more dots. So then 2, the middle one, 1, the edge one, 2, 2, 1, 2. Again, this is just what works for me. Go ahead and do kind of whatever works for your picture. But I think that looks fun. Okay, and then I kind of want something in the middle here. Do we just want another star maybe? Maybe we do. So this one will be easier because we can kind of mirror the shape we already have. So I'm just going to very quickly do another star shape, hold it all down so it all snaps, edit it, and just kind of, you know, mirror it with the one that we already have here a little bit for the most part. So kind of like this. I'll fill that in. Okay, and then I think that looks good for this one. So, same thing as before, we're going to add our highlight and our shadow layer now. So let's start with the shadow layer. So add a new layer, drag it right above our cookie base layer, click the N, set it to multiply. Grab our grayish color, the 6th one on the last row, and switch back to our soft brush under the airbrushing category at like 3 to 4%. Let's do. And I'm just going to, again, kind of go around the bigger pieces. So like the star, these like leafy things. Maybe some of the circles on the edges. Just kind of staying within my cookie shape. But yeah, not a ton here. So just kind of make sure that's nice and prominent where it needs to be. Okay, then we'll do our highlights. So add a new layer at the top of our red icing layer. Click the N, set it to overlay. Same color, let's just maybe lower our brush size a little to like 2% or so. And again, I'll kind of like follow some pieces of my stars in the middle, maybe the white ones on the edge as well. Some of these. Okay, then the circles, we'll maybe kind of do some good highlights on each of those. Just kind of wherever. Okay, and then that is it for this cookie. After it's all done, again, feel free to either snap your layers together or just group them, but first make a duplicate of our base cookie. So slide to left and hit duplicate, and I'm just going to group mine together. So I'll select them all, hit group, minimize the group, turn it off. Now we have our last base cookie. Let's add a layer above it and start our icing. So I'm going to go back to my creamy color, 5th one on the bottom row, switch back to my monoline brush under the calligraphy tab at 100%. Okay, and then this one's going to be fun. I am going to start on each point, and I'm going to loop twice till I get to the next point. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to go loop, loop to here. Turn, I'm going to go loop, loop, turn again, and it's not perfect by any means. So just kind of whatever you get here. So that's kind of the start of it. I'll just keep doing that all the way around. Until we connect back to the beginning. So something like that. So it's a little messy, but that's okay. Makes it look nice and handmade, or homemade. Okay, then we are going to, on each kind of point, so here's the 2 that lead up to the point. From these 2, we're going to go this way in curved lines to connect them also. So again, from these middle points, another point. So now it should look something like this. We're going to kind of connect them in the center, so then I'm going to draw a line connecting them all in the center as best as I can. Again, we'll cover up this middle point, so however they meet up in the middle doesn't really matter. Okay. Let's go ahead and add a new layer for our red now. So new layer, switch to our red color, 2nd on the top row. And in the middle here, we're going to make a little flower. So I'm just going to make a curved line in between each of these, a little loop-de-loop. So we get one big flower in the center like so. Then we're going to add red dots on all of our points as well. So a 1 right here, 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 and so on. Till we get all the way around. And then we're just going to add a white center to our flower. So I'm just going to stay on the same layer, just switch to my whiter color, the 5th one on the bottom row again, and add a little circle to my center flower. So a circle, hold it down, touch my finger to the screen, set it pretty small, click the circle button to move it to the middle and fill it in if necessary. And then that is our last cookie design. Pretty simple. Feel free to add more if you want to. You could I don't know, you could add more little loop-de-loops in here or something to kind of just add some more icing so it's not so bare. So maybe I'll do something like that to kind of finish it off. And maybe I want those last dots to be in red. Yeah, that looks fun. Okay, so then that is it for this cookie now. So let's go ahead and add the shadow and highlight. So add a new layer, drag it right above our base cookie layer, click the end, set it to multiply, switch back to our 6th color on the last row, and switch back to our soft brush under the airbrushing category. Now, all of our details are a little small, so I'm going to keep my brush pretty low, like 2 to 3%, and we'll just kind of go like around the flower primarily, and then we'll kind of go around some of these lines. Again, you don't have to like outline the entire thing, but just kind of pick some to follow to add some shadows. So something like that, nothing too crazy. Then our highlight layer, add a layer on the top of our top icing layer, click the N, drag it to overlay. Same color, same brush, same size even maybe, like again, 2 to 3%. And we'll kind of like, again, highlight our flower, highlight the center of our flower, highlight some of these lines. Again, not all of them, just kind of here and there. Some of our red dots even maybe. And then that is it for our last cookie. So again, same thing. If you snap them together, go ahead and snap them together. Otherwise, I'm just going to group them all. So no need to make another duplicate, but just group these all together. Okay, so now we're going to place them. So you can kind of turn them each back on, see which ones you like the best. Whichever one you want to be on top, drag that group or layer to the top. So I think this one's really fun. I'm going to leave this one at the top here. So I'll just kind of leave them as they were originally. So this is my bottom one, this is my middle one, and this is my top one. Let's go ahead and just turn them all on, grab our top one, grab it with our arrow tool, and let's go ahead and rotate it a little bit to the right. So with our green bar, rotate it to the right, and let's place it just kind of right here, not falling off the plate or anything, just kind of right there. Resize it if you need to. We want them all to be about the same size though, but if yours is like way too big or way too small, feel free to resize it now. Okay, I'll grab my next one, my middle one. This one here, we'll probably leave it like pretty straight up and down. I might rotate it a smidge to the left and then kind of place it again, kind of right here, just at the top, not going off the edge of my plate. Then our last one, grab it with our arrow tool. I'll rotate it quite a bit to the left, and then I'm going to move it down here. It's going to go off the screen, and that means it's going to cut off part of our design. So I hope that's okay with you, you know, if you need to make any other adjustments before we do this, but this part's going to get cut off as soon as we like let this go. So just place it here nicely and then arrow tool to turn it off. And now this is our array of cookies. So now we just need some shadows underneath each of them. So let's just start with our bottom one here. Add a new layer, drag the new layer below it. So we're right above our plate layer. Click the N, set it to multiply. Grab our 4th color on the top row, the lighter gray on the top row, 4th in line. We're still on our soft brush, but let's just increase our size a little bit to like 5%. Okay, and we're just going to add a shadow all around this cookie. So just kind of pretty much the whole thing. get a nice good shadow around it. Any of the parts that we can see anyway. There's other parts that are like hidden by the other cookies. You know, fair enough. Okay, now we're going to do that for each one. So let's add a layer on top of this group. For our last cookie, click the end, set it to multiply. So this one is underneath our middle cookie here at the top, like the top of our plate. So we'll go around that. All the way around. Okay, and then all the way around to like where we go on top of our other cookie here. So we'll kind of cast a shadow on our other cookie. Okay, then for our final cookie, we'll add a new layer right above this middle group. Click the end, set it to multiply. And now we'll go around our whole top cookie again over the other cookie parts as well. And over the plate. Okay, so then that is it for all of our cookies and all of their designs. I hope you had fun making them. I'm excited to see what other designs you might have come up with. So lastly, to finish off our pictures, to add our greenery on the sides. So to do that, we'll go to our layer menu to add a new layer right above our napkin layer underneath our plate shadow layer. Okay, we're going to use our 3 green colors in the last row here, starting with the first one, the 7th one in line. And we are going to switch to our dry ink brush under the inking category, set to 20%. And if you've watched any of my recent videos, you know exactly what we're going to do here to make these little pine sprigs. It's like my new favorite thing to do. So I am just going to turn my canvas a little bit, and we'll start on this like top right corner coming out at a kind of an angle. So I'm going to start and just kind of make a line to start it. So that's my starting line. And then coming off of that, including going like off the screen, we're just going to make all these like straight quick lines kind of at a slight angle upward, but never going like out super far like this, just always kind of mostly like almost straight, some perfectly straight even in the front to kind of add some layers to it. And then have some coming from like behind the plate too. So like don't just stop at the base. We want some, you know, coming from all down there as well. So I went over that a good few times with the one color. Then we'll grab our darker color, the next one in line, 8th one on the last row, and we'll just add like another quick layer of this in to add some variation, just the same exact thing, like so. Then our lighter color, 9th one on the last row, same thing, add this for kind of like some highlight. Okay, so that's our little sprig there. Okay, we're just going to kind of do that a few more times now. So let's grab our base color again. I'm going to start on the same layer, but feel free to create a new one if you want to. I'm going to go at a slightly different angle here and make another kind of baseline to start on. We're going like off the canvas, but same idea. Okay, next color, the darker one. And the lighter one. Okay, so there's my top 2 there. I'll maybe make one in the bottom. So I'm going to do the same layer, but switch back to my base color again and kind of rotate this way. Make my base line. And my darker color. And my lighter color. Okay, and then once that is done, that completes our drawing today. So I hope that you had fun. I hope that you liked the way that yours turned out. I hope that you maybe experimented with some fun icing designs. But if you would like to see more tutorials from me in the future, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And if you would like to check out extra tutorials from me over on Patreon, again, that is linked in the description below. If you would like to share your drawing on Instagram, I would love to see it, so go ahead and post it and then tag me so that I can check it out. And while you're there, go ahead and give me a follow so that you can see what I'm working on next. Thanks for watching!